Well, particulate matter, any kind of pollution is going to have a tremendous impact on your health and the amount of money that you're going to have to spend to maintain it. People with asthma, people with allergies and the like, particularly to the particulate matter, it's going to have a devastating effect on them and potentially their standard of living.
Well, I'm sure it has a lot of effects on people, you know, who are asthmatic and stuff like that. I mean, as far as myself, it doesn't really affect me too much, but I could definitely see it, you know, making people sick who suffer from respiratory problems.
The economy, of course, because of the people, when they get sick, they have to go to the hospital to get taken care of. A lot of them don't have insurance, you have to pay for that. People's health, there's asthma, there's allergies, all because of the, if not have good air pollution, you know. Air and clean air.
Yeah, the economy itself, a lot of the economy is driven by your healthcare costs and your energy costs and the like, but if you're having to spend money on healthcare, then you're unable to spend it on other consumable goods.
Acid rain, you know, if it rains and there's, you know, sulfur particulates in the air, it'll come down and cause damage on structures and like throws off the pH water of the surrounding rain. The rain runoff, all the lakes.
Yeah, and nature gets really angry because they're like, we didn't create this. The animals will be like, my house is dirty now.
There's a whole tier of regulations and agencies that are responsible for air quality. First, you've got the US EPA, the federal level. Then that's divided up into the regions, different US EPA regions. We're in Region 5, which is based out of Chicago. Then you've got the state agency, the Indiana Department of Environmental Management, and then finally you've got a few local agencies like the Evansville EPA. So basically government is supposed to do, and this is subject to philosophical debate, but government's supposed to do what the public or the private people cannot do for themselves. And certainly the private individual can't go to their neighbor who is a large industrial complex and say, you stop polluting the air. That's just not going to work. Or sometimes a person doesn't even feel comfortable going over to their neighbor and saying, you're burning trash and my child has asthma, would you please stop? So these are the things that we need to do on behalf of the public to protect public health. As part of the Clean Air Act and it's one of those old adages, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So US EPA and the states have set up air quality monitoring sites throughout the country. Generally, they're targeted to the urban areas because that's where most of the people are, and that's what US EPA is concerned with. So in a nutshell, the equipment sucks in a sample of air and by some magical means analyzes it for nitrogen oxides or carbon monoxide or sulfur dioxides or particulate or ozone, and then that information now is uploaded onto to IDEM's computers and then downloaded back onto their websites, and then they can be accessible to almost anyone that's interested in looking at it.
My name is Luke Wagner. I work for the Indiana Department of Environmental Management's Air Monitoring Section here in southwestern Indiana. This here is one of our ozone samplers. It measures ground level ozone in a gas form. It's a gas sampler that uses a continuous airflow. It brings the air in from the outside, runs through this sampler, and it utilizes a method using ultraviolet light so this sampler can detect how much ozone is in that airstream. That information is then converted by this sampler to a parts per billion reading, which it displays on the front of the screen. Those readings are then continuously sent to our system, our data logging system at this site. That information is then sent back to Indianapolis for their use in the air monitoring program. In explaining to you how a PM 2.5 monitor works, I'm going to follow the field life of a PM 2.5 filter. This filter is received by a field operator and loaded into the supply side of an air sampler. The air sampler then loads this filter into the chamber and starts a 24-hour sample period where it pulls air through the inlet for 24 hours at a certain flow rate. The engineering of the sampler allows many of the larger particles, or almost all of them, to be eliminated in the airstream by the time it gets to this filter. leaving particles that are 2.5 microns and smaller. Those particles are deposited on this filter, and when the sample period is over, the sampler ejects it. The field operator then picks this up within a certain amount of time under temperature controlled conditions, and with a chain of custody is sent back to Indianapolis so they can analyze it for concentration.